Why is it that so often we find ourselves desiring precisely what has the power to hurt us? Perhaps it is because what attracts us most intensely is not a gift from fate, not some cosmic alignment, but rather the echo of our oldest, most unresolved wounds. The love that burns, that paralyzes, that feels inevitable, is not always born from freedom. More often, it is the disguise of a trauma searching desperately for resolution. Carl Jung once warned us that until we make the unconscious conscious, it will continue to direct our lives, and we will naively call it destiny. His words were not a poetic comfort nor a romantic observation. They were an urgent warning, a reminder that what we mistake for passion may, in reality, be our unconscious, replaying the same story again and again until we finally dare to recognize it. Think about those moments late at night when you stare at your phone, waiting for a message that never arrives. You go back over every detail, every phrase exchanged, every silence, every absence, as though hidden inside those fragments there must be a secret answer. But what you are trying to decode is not the other person. It is yourself. It is the reason why their silence hurts so much. It is why that emptiness feels strangely familiar, almost comfortable, and why we mistake that familiarity for love. Yet what we are really experiencing is not love, but an emotional memory surfacing like an old scar being pressed. Jung taught us that desire is not merely chemical reaction or blind biology. Often, it is the unconscious calling us back, projecting onto another person what we have long denied or suppressed in ourselves, searching for a sense of completion. But that search, noble as it may sound, so often turns into a trap. Attraction is not truly blind. On the contrary, it is terrifyingly precise. With surgical accuracy, it finds the exact fracture line in your soul and enters through it. That is why, so often, we fall in love not with the person in front of us, but with the one who unknowingly carries the traits of someone who once failed us. We do not so much love the other person. We love the hope that through them, we might finally repair what was broken inside us long ago. What we call chemistry might simply be trauma whispering, "Try again. This time it will work." But it almost never does. Picture yourself in a crowded room. Dozens of people are there. Some smile kindly, others barely notice you. And then suddenly, one glance stops you cold. Your body tenses, your pulse races. You tell yourself it must be fate. But the truth is, it is recognition. You recognize in them something dangerously familiar, the same coldness, the same distance, the same elusive intensity that once wounded you. Your mind calls it destiny, but Jung would call it projection. You are not seeing them. You are seeing what is missing in you, reflected back like a haunting mirror. And that mirror feels irresistible, even if it destroys you. This pattern repeats itself endlessly. Brilliant, accomplished, emotionally mature people find themselves entangled again and again in relationships with those who cannot give them what they long for. A man may continually fall in love with distant, emotionally unavailable women, not because he consciously chooses them, but because somewhere deep within, he is still reaching for the love of a mother who was absent. A woman may feel irresistibly drawn to dominant, evasive men because through them she unconsciously relives the impossible task of being noticed by a father who was never truly there. In both cases, they are not really seeking love, they are seeking redemption. They are not pursuing the other, but the impossible hope of rewriting a painful past. These dynamics cannot be explained through reason alone because they do not operate on the surface. They move in the depths. You might swear that you long for calm, but your body only comes alive in chaos. You might insist you want peace, but passion only arrives in the storm. You are not lying. You are simply trapped in repetition. Jung called this the compulsion to repeat, the powerful force that drives us to relive the same pain with different faces until we finally bring it into awareness. Healthy people, people who know how to love, do not keep you in a constant state of anxiety. They do not ignite your nervous system into permanent alert. And yet, to someone wounded, that steadiness can feel boring. We confuse the absence of chaos with the absence of love. We tell ourselves something is missing, when in truth the only thing missing is the drama we once mistook for affection. This is where many lose themselves. Passion born of trauma is addictive. It swings between ecstasy and emptiness, between closeness and rejection, and the nervous system, conditioned by pain, learns to call that cycle home. The attraction we feel is often the language of our shadow. The shadow, as Jung explained, is everything we repress, everything we disown: anger, fear, desire, vulnerability. We hide it in order to survive, to fit in. But what is hidden does not disappear. It leaks out, disguised as desire, disguised as obsession. That is why someone can attract us with overwhelming force. They are carrying, without knowing it, a fragment of our own rejected self. And until you learn to face your shadow, you will remain its prisoner. You will call destiny what is nothing more than emotional programming. What is even more unsettling is that some people instinctively know how to manipulate this dynamic. They become, consciously or unconsciously, the very figure your unconscious is searching for, your anima or your animus, that denied inner image. They become irresistible, not because they love you, but because they have found a way to awaken your deepest hunger. And once that switch is flipped, desire no longer belongs to you. It belongs to them. Have you ever felt an almost irrational obsession with someone who made no sense for you? Someone who hurt you, ignored you, and yet you could not let go? Chances are it was not love. It was your shadow choosing for you. And when desire is born from the wounded unconscious, it is never free. It is compulsion. And until you bring it into awareness, you will keep repeating the same story with new actors over and over again. Jung pointed to a way out: individuation. This is the process of becoming whole, of integrating what you once denied, of ceasing to search for your missing parts in other people and instead reclaiming them within yourself. It is the courage to look directly at your shadow, to recognize the child who needed love and did not receive it, to hold that truth without running. And when that happens, something remarkable shifts. You stop projecting ghosts onto others. You stop falling for mirrors. You begin to love real people, imperfect but present. You discover that love is not completion. It is overflow. It is not a scream of emptiness. It is the celebration of fullness. But to arrive there, you must descend. Descend into the very places inside you that you have avoided. Sit with your ghosts rather than denying them. Only the one who has made peace with their shadow can truly love in the light. Real desire does not imprison, it chooses. It is not compulsion, it is freedom. It is not a fire that consumes, it is warmth that sustains. Most of us have been caught in this cycle at some point, loving those who hurt us, chasing those who withdraw, confusing intensity with authenticity. Do not blame yourself. It is part of being human. But you do have the power to break the pattern, and it begins with uncomfortable questions. Do I love this person, or do I love what they represent? Does this desire come from my wound or from my wholeness? Is what I feel calm, or is it storm? If the answer is storm, then what you are experiencing is not love. It is emotional repetition. It is an ancient war fought with new soldiers, and no matter how many times you fight it, the ending will always be the same until you change the script. True love begins where need ends. Conscious desire begins when the shadow is embraced, not denied. The one who cannot stand their own solitude will always use another person as anesthesia. But anesthesia fades, and addiction remains. Only when you learn to hold yourself in your own silence does desire transform. It is no longer a cry of hunger, but a free and conscious choice. Perhaps the right person will not be the one who makes your stomach twist with butterflies or leaves you sleepless with anticipation. The right person may not feel like a storm breaking into your life, sweeping you off your feet in a dizzying wave of chaos. Instead, they may arrive quietly, without spectacle, and offer you something that passion born from wounds never could: peace. They will not intoxicate you with adrenaline, nor will they keep you guessing if you are enough. They will not pull you into an endless cycle of highs and lows. They will not take away your ground. They will teach you how to stand more firmly upon it. This is one of the paradoxes of real love. At first, it may not feel like the passion you were conditioned to crave. For someone whose nervous system has been trained to associate intensity with affection, peace can feel suspicious, almost empty. If you have lived most of your life in emotional war, then calmness may appear lifeless, as though something essential is missing. But this is an illusion born of trauma. The truth is that calm is not emptiness. Calm is stability. Calm is the space where true connection can grow. And if you stay long enough, you begin to realize something extraordinary. Calm is thrilling too. Peace can be more powerful, more transformative, and more deeply satisfying than any storm you once mistook for love. But to feel that, to recognize it as love, you must first heal. In the end, what we call attraction is not always love. It is often the pull of our unresolved history begging for one more chance to repeat itself. Desire, in its raw and unconscious form, has a habit of guiding us back toward what is unfinished, what is unhealed. That person who makes your heart race uncontrollably might not be your soulmate. They might simply be the embodiment of your wound, drawing you into a familiar pattern. And if you do not see this clearly, you will continue to confuse compulsion with connection. Real love is not the meeting of two incomplete beings desperately trying to fit into each other's cracks. It is not about searching for someone to complete you. That idea, romantic as it sounds, is the surest way to keep yourself trapped in dependency and illusion. Real love is what happens when two whole human beings, each having done the work of integration, each capable of standing alone, choose to meet and recognize one another. It is not need that binds them, but freedom. It is not desperation that fuels the bond, but abundance. When you arrive whole, you no longer love from hunger, you love from overflow. Desire becomes sacred only when it stops being an escape and becomes a conscious choice. As long as your attraction is rooted in a need to run from yourself, it will enslave you. But when you have faced your own shadows, healed your inner fractures, and embraced the solitude of your own presence, then desire is no longer a compulsion. It becomes something deliberate. When you look at someone and instead of whispering, "Save me," you can say with calm certainty, "I choose you, but I already belong to myself." That is the moment when love transforms from dependency into freedom, from illusion into truth. So the next time your heart begins to race uncontrollably, the next time your body ignites with an overwhelming rush at the sight of someone, pause for a moment. Breathe. Ask yourself the question that most people never dare to ask. Is this love? Or is this my wound searching for hope? It is not an easy question. It requires brutal honesty, because it may reveal that what you thought was destiny is simply repetition. But it is precisely this question that can save you. For healing does not arrive when you finally meet the right person. Healing arrives when you stop choosing from the wrong part of yourself. This means recognizing that attraction is not always evidence of compatibility. The fact that someone sets your soul on fire does not mean they are good for you. In fact, sometimes the brightest flames are the ones that burn you to ashes. Healing requires unlearning this confusion. It means teaching yourself to see that love is not chaos, it is not adrenaline, it is not the roller coaster of abandonment and return. Love is presence, love is consistency, love is safety. And until you learn to value those things more than you value intensity, you will keep mistaking trauma for passion. Imagine two different kinds of relationships. In one, the chemistry is overwhelming, the desire immediate and consuming. Every encounter feels like life and death. But beneath the fire, there is anxiety, fear, constant uncertainty. In the other, the connection grows slowly. It feels steady, perhaps even ordinary at first. There is no adrenaline spike, no frantic guessing. Instead, there is comfort, warmth, mutual respect. If your heart is still ruled by old wounds, you will crave the first and dismiss the second as boring. But if you are healing, if you are becoming whole, you will begin to see that the second is the soil in which real love grows. Peace does not mean lifelessness. It means clarity. It means freedom from the compulsions of the past. And once you taste it, you realize that no chaos, however intoxicating, can compare. The thrill of peace is not loud. It is subtle, profound, transformative. It is like the quiet after a storm, the stillness that finally lets you hear your own heartbeat clearly. So do not mistake the absence of chaos for the absence of love. Do not run back to the fire just because calmness feels unfamiliar. Learn to sit in that stillness. Learn to recognize it for what it truly is, the sign that you are no longer being ruled by your wounds. The right person will not awaken the child in you who once begged to be chosen. The right person will meet the adult in you who already knows they are enough. And this is the greatest freedom: to desire without needing, to choose without clinging, to love without losing yourself. Healing does not happen when someone finally arrives to give you the love you lacked. Healing happens when you stop betraying yourself by choosing the same wound in different faces. Only then can you see clearly. Only then can desire transform into choice and love into something that liberates rather than confines.